All right, guys, we are back here for round two. Let's just get it. So I got back from the gym a long time ago, actually, guys, and I got kind of lazy. I have to admit, I got kind of lazy. I was feeling pretty fatigued. Training was not the best because my strength was just going down. But yeah, so came back and I cooked my pork shoulder for this week's meal prep. And I just had the hour just kind of chilling around, just reading some books and I just realized how boring reading had become for me. And like even now, guys, when I just read books, it feels like I'm just wasting time. Like it's going in one ear, like it's going in one eye and out the other. Like I'm not doing the applicational steps in the book as it is telling me to do so, and it just feels like I'm reading just to, let time pass, which obviously defeats the purpose of reading. But this afternoon, right, I'm gonna try get the last bit of thing done, which is to connect the back end and the front end together on my application. And after that, guys, I mean, it really should not take that long. Like the time is what currently almost 2 p.m. It literally should only take like a few minutes, But me yabbling on and just me trying to, look, it's gonna take literally no time, but um, you know, that is exactly what I want to get done. But if I have time left, which I literally will, I might do a little bit more because why not? What other thing is there for me to do? Thinking better now, not really much. But before I do anything, I want to go through a mindset video with you guys. Obviously, I paid for this mindset video, and I'm not sure if I can actually show you guys because of copyright, maybe or maybe not. But who cares, right? Because first of all, I am not aware that this may be copyright or not. So, what can you do? I didn't know better. So if it is, then shoot me a message whoever made this content. But if not, then well. And yes, this is Iman Gatsi. If you guys don't know, then you literally are living under a rock. I have been following him for quite a while now. I'll say like 3 years, I think, something like that. Before I went to jail, I was enrolled in his agency navigator course. I was gonna do his agency navigator course, create my own social media marketing agency, and I did, right? But 2 weeks into it or something like that, I got one of those expected and unexpected knock on the door. Literally when I was making breakfast in my SpongeBob underwear. It is embarrassing, right? But police came, arrested me, and took me in jail. Obviously, not right away. I was on parole, but pretty much that's how my career ended at that stage. But when I got out, I went back into my social media marketing agency I started because that is at the time what I known to create wealth online. And after 2 weeks of just rigorously cold calling, 100 people, 120 sometimes a day, literally gotten out of my fear of, talking to strangers and instantly, right? It just instantly just happened. It's a miracle. And I gave up after 2 weeks, and I was kind of finding myself, and all those more drugs problems happened because I was lost at that point. A lot of just pretty much sticking around with my life. But now obviously I'm back on track, and who else to look than my hero at the start of me changing, changing my life around, which is following Iman Gatsi. Now, obviously, if you guys know or do not know, he's starting a Make Money Online Challenge 2.0, right? It's about making digital products. Obviously, I wasn't going to enroll in his course as I am making my own application. And I thought what's the point, right? Like, what's the point of learning how to fish if all you want to do is learn how to cook fish, right? But then again, like, you still need the fish to eat it, right? So I'm gonna just get what I can from this course, because literally it's still a course, right? It's still a course at the end of the day, and business is business. I'm gonna see what I can learn from it, but most importantly, one of my other goals is to literally get first place in his Make Money Online Challenge 2.0. I noticed he's doing leaderboards, ranking based on how many people's making money through his platform WAP. And in the challenge, there's a leaderboard. Obviously, the prize is nice, but most importantly, I just want to get number one. Literally, I want to get number one, because I'm tired. I'm literally tired. Not even tired, but like I just, knowing that my friends think that I won't amount to anything just literally pisses me off. Like, literally, like, who are they to think that I won't become anything? Like, and who are they to think that they're better than me? So I'm literally doing anything to prove that they're wrong. So, Make Money Online 2.0, starts in like 5-7 days, something like that. Honestly, not too much hassle, but at the moment, I'm just going through the mindset videos, and today I just thought, why not watch it with you guys, because it's going to be amazing, and just, stay tuned, and let's judge a few people, because funny enough, when I first started watching this mindset video, right, I actually hated it. Like, I hated it because the guy who made this, right, the guy who made this mindset video, he sounds not articulated whatsoever. Like, you would think that if you are talking to a professional, right, if you're talking to a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever, right, you expect them, perhaps by society's, values and whatnot, or perhaps, you're grown up to have this judgment that highly successful people are supposed to sound a certain way, like as if they are so extraordinary, right? With the words they use, the way they talk, the way they hold themselves. It is like they have this unmatched aura, right? But when I watch this course, the guy seems and looks and sounds like anyone you would see on the streets. Like, the way they talk, like the way he talked, was definitely not sophisticated. Or the way he talked was definitely not articulated. And he used a lot of and it got me really triggered at one point, because I thought to myself, there is no way that this guy made $40 million and he just doesn't sound like the person who makes $40 million. And at that point, something clicked to me, right? It showed me that if this guy can make a video like this, and the way he talks does not even match the perception of what I think success is, then it means I have gotten the idea of what a successful person is wrong the whole time. Right? They don't have to be articulated. They don't have to look or dress or act a different way far beyond the average Joe. Right? They may just be the average Joe, but it's literally their belief and like a feeling of knowing that they can be better that makes them more successful. And when that moment clicked, like when I saw that guy just talking so normal-ish, then I realized I literally could make a better video than him by talking more articulated. But then again, I thought to myself, David, no. You're still trying to hold your own judgment and idea of what a successful person is, but yet you actually haven't seen what a successful person actually is. And the truth is, they are so normal. So, your perception right now of someone successful or someone famous might be totally wrong too. Like for me, because I was wrong. I thought they were like these different breed of creatures, acting, talking, and just holding themselves differently. But really, they are just like you and I. But what matters and what changes is their mindset, is that they have this belief that what they are doing will work, and they will find ways to make it work. And that is not represented through the way you talk or represented through the way you dress, whatever. But mindset is something only you have, right? You can't show that to someone. You just live with it. But anyways, enough of me talking. Let's just get right into this video.
Hey everyone, Sam Ovens here, and welcome to this training in the Consulting Accelerator program, week 2, and this one is called Duality, and I always stuffed it up and I always failed it. So
Obviously, I watched like a bit of it, so I'm gonna skip through to the bits when I haven't watched.
Quite remarkable, and know where you came from, all of these different things. And we believe that we really are a person and a self, and that we can't, that it's bad to desire stuff, and that all unhappiness is caused by desire, and all of this through university. It is just what happens when we take one thing to the extreme and we totally ignore the other. And people used to get a 9-to-5 job to have security. Everyone talks about job security. And so most people who thing, and you take it to the extreme, and then at nighttime, we just destroyed it, disintegrated it somehow. How would we know that it was daytime that we were actually experiencing? We need one to have the other. Like, what would light be without darkness? And what would hot be without cold? Try to imagine what hot is without cold. And try to imagine what nature would be without a city. And try to imagine what a city would be without nature. These two things don't exist without having an opposite. This is the only way the human brain can understand things. This current paradigm. And I've been sitting quietly, watching this happen, and waiting for the perfect moment. So I've been tracking this stuff for a long time. I've been following these different things, tracking them, looking at all of the markers, and waiting for the perfect moment to move on this one. And that moment is right now. And what's happened is the paradoxes have flipped. We call this a paradox when you try and do one thing and you take it to the extreme, and then it becomes the other. It contradicts itself, and this is called a paradox. Well, I'm sure you've probably noticed some strange things that have been happening in society and everything recently. Well, what happened is the paradoxes just flipped out. They flipped over. And this is the dawn of the new era, and the consulting revolution is here. I've been waiting to introduce this until this perfect moment. And so what is the answer to mankind's big question? And the current paradigm is that you have to choose a side, and that there must be one right and there must be one wrong. And, there must be ourself and there must be a not ourself. And really, the only way to be wrong is to choose a side, because we can't, if we create something and we say that is beautiful, at the same time that we create beauty, we create ugliness. And at the same time, if we create hot, well, we create cold. If we create cold, we create hot. And the only way to be wrong, really, is to choose a side. And everything in this universe is forever changing, moving, and evolving. That is for sure. And the only way to lose is to resist change. And do you remember the equation of all human evolution? So in the accelerator program in week 1, I showed you natural law and the equation. And I showed you this equation right here, and I showed you this is how everything in the perceivable universe evolves. This is the equation of all human evolution, all evolution of everything. And it looks like this. We have a thesis, an antithesis, and a synthesis. And basically, a thesis is like current situation right now. Like you right now. And then an antithesis is something which comes in contact with the thesis. And so if you're the thesis, and then the sun is the antithesis, then the synthesis, which is what happens when these two combine, is that's going to be you, and you might be sunburnt because you interacted with the sun. Or you, and you might be tanned because you interacted with the sun. Or you, and you might be overheated because you interacted with the sun. And this becomes the new thesis. And this is really the governing equation of all evolution. And let's look at the evolution of yourself. I'm going to show you how this current paradigm we have as society is wrong, and I'm going to introduce you this new way of thinking. So we have our current self. This is who we think we are. And this comes by defining, who am I? We're like, is this thing me? Is this not me? Are these people like me? Are they not like me? Am I for this? Am I against this? Do I Do I believe in this thing? Do I not? And we create this self, this current self. And then, naturally, as humans, it's totally natural to desire something else which is more than who we are. And that is our desired self. And so you've got who you are right now in this given moment, and then you've got who you want to be. You've got, this person who you want to be, and that might be, more wealthy, it might be more fit, it might be more tanned, it might be, you might have a six-pack, it might be whatever. Different people have different desired selves. So,
By the way, just to know, I was definitely not smirking at this video. This video was boring as fuck. Definitely informational, but boring as fuck. My mind was totally thinking about something totally different. And I guess that's something I have to watch out for, because I really have to stay focused. Otherwise, it's going in one ear and out the other, and I don't want that. Right? I want to try gain something from this. Like that is the whole point of watching a mindset video. So we gotta recenter ourselves and really get focused there.
And then we've got the gap between the two, which I've got in this grey box. And the gap between these two is the cause of all unhappiness. So, this division between the two inside ourselves is the cause of all of our struggle, all of our conflict, and all of our unhappiness, because we want to become this other person, but we can't.
That's very true.
We've got our current self,
and
the person who we want to be is in conflict with who we currently are. And that's the cause of...
Like this is literally how depression starts, guys. This is literally how depression, or unhappiness in this case, what he's saying, starts. Is when you have ambition to be someone you want to become, but yet you are not, and you are doing everything that is not representing what that person, what that desired self of you wants to become. So like you're thinking like, I'm this great athlete, right? Or I'm this, successful millionaire. But yet then every single day you're in your room, right? Playing video games, jacking off, right? Doing drugs, going out with your friends and dicking around. Like, and then you think you have this idea that, hold on, wait. I am someone great. But then your actions don't align with that person who's great. And you always think you are, but you have nothing of that person that he would possess, or she would possess. And you'll be wondering, where is all my wealth? Where is all my fame? Where is all my respect? Well, you're not going to get any, because you're still stuck in your current self. But because you think you're on, almighty and stuff, but you're not acting like that person. That is how unhappiness starts, because you always wonder, like, where's my success? You're always wondering where your success is, but you're not doing anything that's deserving your success. So that's exactly what his point is talking about, even though he's explaining it properly.
We have come to believe that this is the shitty truth of our existence. This is what we've come to believe as a society with our current paradigm, is that that's just the way it is. And, you've just got to take the card that you're dealt. And we've got all these sayings like, be yourself, be authentic. Don't try to be somebody who you're not. Don't try to be somebody else. Stick to your...
I must say that's not true, because I never came to believe that I am a nobody. And sometimes, people may say you're just deluding yourself, right? You're being delusional. But the thing is, like, because I never accept, I'm always finding ways to become. But because I am lazy and sometimes I allow fear to hold me back, then again, I am unhappy because I do not act on finding the ways to become. But then you still think like, you don't accept the fact that you're nobody. And I think when you give up, like when you literally give up and you think that you're just nobody, and you just accept that, my life is the way it is, then you're never going to really, yes, you may in a way settle for mediocrity so you don't be unhappy, but then you're missing out on the chance to become, and at least that's what I think anyways, guys.
Roots, don't forget who you are, don't forget where you came from, all of these different things. And we believe that we really are a person and a self, and that we can't, that it's bad to desire stuff, and that all unhappiness is caused by desire and all of this. And we've come to believe that this is the shitty truth of our existence, but it's not. And remember how I showed you this? This is the equation for all evolution. And so we've got our current self, that's the thesis. Then we've got our desired self, that's the antithesis. And then we have our new self, and that's the synthesis. And the new self is a combination of our old self and our desired self. And when we become our new self, that new self becomes the current self again, and this equation repeats itself over and over again. That is why there is an arrow that goes from the pink back around to the blue, because once we form the new self, it'll be natural that after a while we will start to desire a desired self again. And just like when I transformed myself into somebody who was broke into someone who made $100,000 a year, well, I moved my desire to become someone who made $500,000 a year, and then I fulfilled that one. I did the synthesis, and I evolved. And then it was to become someone who made $1 million, and then it was all the way up now. It made more than $20 million, and so it's never ending. And so we come to believe that we are this person and we are this self, and that we can't change. But that couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, if you look at everything in the perceivable universe, it follows this equation, and this shows us that we can transform and evolve into whoever we want to be. And this is the new alchemy paradigm and worldview. And so I'm going to show you these different things, and I'm going to show you how the alchemy paradigm perceives these things, because right now they've gotten a bit out of control, I think. And so we believe that, if you're on Wall Street, smoking cigars with $100 bills and making billions of dollars, that's wrong, and that being over in California is right, doing meditation and everything. Well, the alchemy paradigm would combine the two. It would be a balance between the two. It would be being rich, but also being spiritual and doing meditation. So there's nothing wrong with doing spiritual stuff and meditation, but there's also nothing wrong with making a whole bunch of money and smoking cigars. It's the combination of the two, of spirit and money. And so we believe that the city is wrong, and being in
funny he's actually mentioning this point, and something that came into my mind. Like, there's a right and wrong, right? And I think the first time I was exposed to this was literally in school. Like, you either pick to be the weird kid or the popular kid. And, anyone who picks the middle, like you're like a fence sitter, right? Like you choose to be on those side, and, perhaps you have, like, nobody hates you and nobody really likes you, but, some people will tell you some of their secrets, but like you're just that person who is classified as a good listener, right? Because you don't take sides, you don't judge. And then, people wonder, like, why aren't people all like you? Because that's what I call, like, oh, you're such a good listener, there should be more people like you. So people enjoy or appreciate those who, are not going to judge them or aren't going to criticize them and ain't going to take sides and has an opinion of their own, but yet they would rather also, because perhaps of formed, behavior, because they want to be a part of, the society norm, that they like people who actually have a definitive side. Because those who sit on the fence, from my experience going through primary school and high school, being this fence sitter, you don't really get much sincere friends, right? That's straight up. You don't get much sincere friends, because people want, and people are more bonded together with those who, are so similar with their worldview, with what they believe, with the music they like, the things they like to do. But yet, when they have trouble or when they're going through some shit, they'll always find comfort talking to those people who won't judge them, right? Talking to those people who sit on the fence, right? Talk to those people who have balance. And I guess this just goes really, it complements the point he's making, because people go to the extremes and take shit too seriously, that I don't tend to see that where the most benefit thing for both parties is to just have mutual understanding, right? Just have mutual understanding and understand that is not wrong. That should not be penalized, right? Because to be a so-called NPC isn't necessary. Like, we need those NPCs, walking down the street. We need those NPCs to spit us some wisdom and knock us up out of our socks sometimes. That sentence was really forced, but You guys get the
Being in
point.
the middle of the city is wrong and that you should be out in nature. Well, it's city and nature. You know, you'll find that the people, if you go out and you visit people who live in the country and in everything, they want to go to the city. And if you visit everyone that lives in the city, they want to go to nature and the beach. And this is what I've realized for myself is I like both. I want to have a place in the middle of Manhattan, and I want to have a place in the middle of the Caribbean. And, you know, I'm looking at buying a massive block of land right now, right on the water. And I'm going to have that in the next week. And, you know, I'm going to build this retreat place called Atlantis, and that's going to be, you know, I'm going to go between the two. Because sometimes I want to be in nature and swimming around and at the beach and where it's all quiet and peaceful. And then other times I want to be right in the middle of it. And so, you know, there is not really one right and wrong. The only wrong is really to choose one side and say the other is wrong. And it's a balance between the two. And we believe that the history is more right than the future, and that history has facts in it, and the future is just you know, it's just up to imagination, and it's not true at all. Well, we perfectly value the history now and the future. So we look at right now, we look at history, and we look into the future, and we hold them all equally. We merge them all together. And we believe that, you know, if eating healthy is right and eating burgers is wrong, well, we want to eat healthy and unhealthy. Because the truth is if you only eat healthy food, then your body actually forgets that it's eating healthy food. And I'm not joking at all. You can ask anyone who does anything to do with biology or science or anything. If someone tries to completely remove germs out of, you know, if they try and use hand sanitizer and if they wash their hands like crazy and they're really scared of germs, well, guess what? They end up getting sick because their immune system it hasn't built up tolerance. It doesn't understand, it doesn't have any germs. And so the second they meet a tiny little germ, it wipes them out. And this happens with people who eat healthy food. This is why in bodybuilding and stuff and in fitness, there's such a thing as a cheat day. It's like you want to eat well and everything, but every now and then it's good to binge out and just eat a whole bunch of KFC and burgers and
I mean, yeah, that's true. But then again, you know, like me, if you binge out, you know, go off your diet, then you'll literally ruin like 2 weeks of progress. Because here's the thing, guys. Sometimes to let go of doing something right, like that you know is right, for example, eating healthy in this case, let's just, for argument's sake, let's just make it in this context, right? Eating healthy and unhealthy. I get what he's saying. You know, sometimes you just have to let go. Otherwise, you know, it's not sustainable, right? Otherwise, you know, apparently in his case, he says that you forget that you're eating healthy, even though I don't really know how you forget that you're eating healthy. But yes, cheat days, whatnot. But, you know, some people, when they lose that consistency and momentum, they tend to go off the rails. You know, like for some people, buying snacks and keeping it in the cupboard, you know, may be more harmful than just not buying snacks at all. Because for some people, they don't have the discipline and consistency to put down for, say, like, you know, one cup of ice cream. You know, for them, they may, when they start, they can't stop. And if you're those people, you know what I'm exactly talking about. Like when you have one scoop of something, or, you know, when you have one chip, you just can't stop. Yeah, I'll say, guys, for those people who can stop after eating just like a few chips, like a serving of potato chips, like I think there's something wrong with you. I think you're either like a psycho or something, because you either go full on or you don't. You know, and I understand the fact that he wants to have balance, and there's nothing wrong with balance. But why have, you know, KFC when you can make homemade chicken? You know, why have, you know, McDonald's burgers and have this unhealthy trans fat when you can make your own little gourmet burger, you know? And people may say, yes, that's unhealthy, that's healthy. And you know what? Screw it, because you're trying your best to be healthy. You know, trying your best to stay in line with the actions and values you have been consistent with, right? This is your new identity. Therefore, why, for no reason, go off track?
thick shakes. It's because your body needs to be shocked back to understand that it actually had things good. Just like the people who live on the islands, they need to go to the city to understand that, okay, well, I like the city. Or, you know, people who like the city and become immune to it, they need to go to the islands to understand that they like the city. This is the way it works. And so, we combine healthy and unhealthy. We want.
Actually, now him saying that, I kind of take my point back because that is true. Sometimes, like, I won't entirely forget that what it is to eat healthy, but I know what he's saying. Because sometimes you will have a bite of a burger, right? A bite of an unhealthy burger, and after being consistent for eating healthy food for so long, just trying that burger may make you all bloated and make you all fatigued and just make you feel disgusting, right? And then you'll realize that, hold on, I this is very unhealthy. Even though you know it's unhealthy, but sometimes you eat it and then you remind yourself. So I guess I know what he's coming from now. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know
to eat both. We want, if we're all unhealthy, that's not good. If we're all healthy, it's not good either. And so we had university and college dropouts. We said college was wrong, and we said dropping out was wrong, and going to college and being qualified is right. Well, what about education as a dropout? Why can't you drop out and be educated? And what's happening is people who drop out and educate themselves, they're way better educated than people who don't drop out and actually get what we call educated. And so we've got right and wrong. We're saying that it's right to be happy and it's wrong to be unhappy and sad and depressed. And so we've tried to abolish unhappiness with antidepressants, and in doing that, we've pretty much abolished happiness. And so the right thing really is to combine the two and learn to enjoy struggle, learn to enjoy pain. I used to be afraid of everything, and then I became to actually quite enjoy the fear and the pain because I didn't like being outside of my comfort zone, so I never went outside of my comfort zone, and I tried to completely abolish going outside of my comfort zone. But then I ended up totally unhappy because I was stuck in my comfort zone. And so, what we've really got to do is learn to enjoy the struggle. There's nothing better in the world when you enjoy a challenge, when you enjoy struggle, when you enjoy, some pain and some fear. There's nothing really better because that is all part of being alive. You wouldn't know that you were happy unless you had been sad. And you wouldn't know that, you were sad unless you had been happy. This is the way it works. And then we have, science, which we perceive to be the right and the source of all truth, and, religion, which is wrong. However, it's really spirituality and science. It's looking at both of them, not just one and ignoring the other. Because if we look at one and not the other, if we choose a side, that's when we really get it wrong. We have to have a balance. And so we've got work and play. We think it's right to be adventuring and playing, and we think it's wrong to be working all the time and behind a computer inside. Well, it's work as play. People are like, why don't you have a work-life balance or something? Well, and they're like, oh, you're living the wrong way because all you're doing is working. Well, what if living for someone was working? What if working for someone was the most satisfying thing that they could possibly do? A lot of people ask me that. They're like, oh, why aren't you out on the beach taking a vacation or something? I was like, I'd rather be working than on the beach. I'm helping tons of people and I'm having the time of my life doing this. It's like I'm painting the Sistine Chapel doing this thing. It's like it's like art for me, or making music. It is the most enjoyable thing that I could possibly do. And it is play for me. And so why can't we make work play and play work? Why do we have to divide them? And we have giving to charity as right, and then we've got being rich as wrong. And quite a lot of the time, a lot of people, I always talk about making money because we've turned it into a taboo topic. Like, as a society, we think we shouldn't talk about money. Someone's like, oh yeah, I made $1 million here, I made $1 million there, and it's...
To be honest, going through these duality based on one thing and wrong thing, right? The thing I can definitely work on a lot for myself is actually managing play and work. Because I realized, looking back in my track record, I'll have these consistent streaks, right, where I just work, and I'll think watching Netflix, doing anything else but work is just shit wrong. And I did get work done. But then when I break the streak, for whatever reason, maybe one day I was just so tired, or one day my mind just slipped unconsciously and I opened TV and I watched Netflix. The moment that happens, it is like I flipped on an on-off switch and I would not work at all. I would just say, shit, I watch TV, Therefore, I gave up on this project. Therefore, I gave up on life pursuit. Therefore, I gave up. Therefore, I can't make it. And then I'll have these withdrawals. I'll have this regression in my progress, and I'll go all the way back down from all the progress I made simply because I was so strict on one side of the totem pole, right? I was either working or I was relaxing or distracted. I could not manage them both together. And I think that's something I need to work on, because if you can manage play and work, right? If you can discipline yourself to work, and then you can have those days to relax and still come back to work, like that is something I think is holding me down. But deep down inside, I am always a true believer that if you break your consistency unnecessarily, you're literally just kind of you're ruining things for yourself. Because for me, it takes time to build things back up. For me, like when I break my diet, I'll go off the rails, and to pull myself back up after that break in momentum sometimes requires more discipline and will than if I had just stayed consistent. But obviously, if back then, if this wasn't working for me, like I'll have work and I'll play, I'll work and I'll play, if that wasn't working, the method I was using, then maybe it was just a mindset issue. Maybe I was just, not the person I was today. But either way, if you can find a way to balance something, then go ahead and balance it. But to me, I think there are different people out there, and some people just cannot just, is rather just more difficult for them if they just stay consistent and just never look back. And I think that's really me. You know what I mean?
Society looks at you like, don't, what are you saying, man? You're not supposed to say anything like that. Don't talk about money. Money's bad. Don't talk about it. Money's evil. And if you do talk about it, everyone's like, oh, shame on you. Or they're like, why aren't you giving to charity? Every Facebook ad I've ever run has about 1,000 people on it just saying, oh, shame on you, you should be giving to charity. And it's like, it's because we've got these binaries here. We've got this perceived right and wrong. And, with the new way of thinking, with the new alchemy paradigm and worldview, we combine these two and we think, well, what if we could get rich by giving back? I don't think a lot of these people look at the nature of my business in that I'm helping people make money. I'm helping people that, I'm helping a lot of people who would usually be the people who would receive charity. I'm helping them make money for themselves. And the very nature of my business is helping people. And how I get rich is by helping others get rich. And so, I really am getting rich by giving back. And so it's the combination of charity and getting rich. But we come to believe that, just because I'm making money or just because someone else is making money, that it's wrong and they should be giving that money to charity. But really, the division of making money and charity is the wrong, because we shouldn't have divided these two. The nature of making money
Totally
is to add
agree
value.
here, guys.
And
Whether you're
to
doing
add value,
business,
we must help people.
entertainment,
And that's what a lot of people have just
The-
forgotten. They think that
the more value you give, in return, the more people you are helping. So therefore, you are, in his case, getting rich by giving back.
the only way to help people is to just give them some money. But if we
The dollar isn't just a dollar. The dollar is literally a measurement of your value to the world. And the more value you have, the more people you help, the more valuable you are, the more prestigious you are. It's all about this, guys. It's literally all about this.
give someone
And
money,
that's why I want to get rich. Not because money is nice. Obviously, money is nice. Like, who doesn't think that? But the truth is, I want to be valuable. Right? That literally, because to break it down and to be truly honest with you guys, that is literally all that matters. Is how valuable are you to the world? The moment you are not valuable, the moment you stop being useful, you are going to get replaced. And that is the cold hard truth, guys. That literally is the cold hard truth. And nobody is going to remember you too at the end of the day. You will get replaced.
money, then they're going to want more, and they're never going to be able to fish for themselves. If you just give someone fish, then they can't do anything. Then they can only feed themselves for like one day. But if you teach them how, then they're good for life. And so getting rich by giving back. And, we've got our friend and our enemy. And we say, like, our friend is right, we should put our armor around our friend, but our enemy, we ignore the enemy, we should, hide from them, they're wrong. We should say bad things about them. Well, what about loving your enemy? What about making your enemy your best friend? And so the key to all evolution is variation. And when you start to grow tired of what is in the light, you must consider what is in the dark. And by this, I mean, like, we all have a light side and a dark side. Like, our current self is the self that we have chosen to put into the light. This is who we are. And the side of us that we are not is in the dark. And, this is how it works. So, when we grow tired of what's in the light, the only way we can really achieve our new self and our desired self is to consider what is in the dark. And you've got to remember this equation, the governing equation of really all evolution, the thesis, the antithesis, and the synthesis, which becomes the new thesis. And so here's the issue with society's current paradigm and the way everybody thinks and believes. And it says, number 2, dualism and perception of one right and one wrong. So our mind is a programmable on-off system that divides thoughts, memories, experiences into categories such as me, not me, right, wrong, for, against, good, evil, past, future, friend, enemy, true, false, and this division of opposites is the only way we can make sense of things, and it's called dualism or duality. And we grow up thinking, who am I? From every experience, memory, and thought stacks a rock on one side of these scales. So we've got me and not me, right and wrong, good and bad, and over time, this sense of self and this identity gets very strong and defined, and we define ourselves as a particular person unable to change. And society develops the same way. We do ourselves, because society is made up of individuals like ourselves. And so society develops the same way we do ourselves, except as a collective group of individuals within it. So society develops over time thinking, who are we? And every experience, memory, and thought stacks a rock on one side of the scales. Right, wrong, good, bad, like us, our enemy. And as a collective group, society develops a sense of identity, and they are unable to change. They get stagnant, and they don't want to change. And this is called dualism or duality. And dualism is the cause of all conflict within you as a person. You've got who you are and who you want to be, and that's the cause of all unhappiness. And then you've got dualism, and it is the cause of all conflict within the world as a society as well. Because once there is a well-formed society, there is its enemy. Because he who is not like us is against us, and he who is not with me is against me. He who is not like us is our enemy. And so becoming non-binary and balancing the poles, this is the new way of thinking. This is the new paradigm. So this is number 2, one of the new laws in the alchemy paradigm and worldview. So we must understand the nature of our own mind and the dualism experienced by the division of opposites. We must understand that all conflict within ourselves, society, business, and everywhere else exists through resistance to change. And we understand that the key to all evolution is a variation. And the thing that slows it down and causes problems is clinging to an identity built up from stories of the past. And we must let go of who we currently are to become who we want to be. And that involves doing things which we have ignored, judged, and victimized with our current self and its identity. And we understand that holding a firm side on anything while ignoring the opposite will require us to eventually face the opposite. If we take one to the extreme, then we flip over the paradox and we face the other, which is what all university and all science and all of these different things have done. They flipped the paradox. And this is why we must understand the dualism that exists in our mind and lose the binary stance of one true right and wrong and one true me and not me. And if you want to evolve as a person and grow into a better version of yourself in life and in business, you must consider the side of you that is hidden in the dark and bring it into the light. If you're an introvert, it's time to speak up. And if you're an extrovert, it's time to quietly reflect and be by yourself a little bit. If you've never been smart, well, it's time to become a genius. And if you've been anti-science and been against it and never looked at it and thought it's all bad, then, well, it's time to look at science. And if you've been anti-religion and never touched it and thought it's all taboo and everything, then it's time to look at religion. And if you've been money obsessed and all you've ever cared about is money and it's just always been money, money, money and materialistic stuff, well, it's time to look at spirituality and yourself and your soul. And if you've only considered spirituality, and you've only been working on that sort of stuff, well, it's time to start making some money, and it's time to start caring a little bit about some money. Because this is what I see in the world right now. It's like, it's happened a lot. I noticed it.
I like the fact that he didn't add in the if you have been eating healthy all the time, start to eat unhealthy. Like, because sometimes, like, it is quite obvious that one thing, if we do, then it's gonna be bad. And I'm not saying this because duality, right? But the truth is, if you eat McDonald's every single day, your health is gonna decline. So there are some things that we just have to watch out for. But then again, like, I feel like we all have that common sense to know to a degree that if you do one thing, then you get one result. But then again, like, people can argue that for the sake of religion, right? Like, people will say, "Oh, how do you know that religion is wrong? How do you know that religion is right?" And then again, guys, like, that's something I can't touch on because I don't know shit about that. But what I do know is if I eat KFC every single day, I'm gonna get fat and unhealthy. Simple as that.
Especially with women, because there's a ton of, like, I'm now getting more female customers than men because I talk about making money and everything. And what's happened is a lot of the female teachers out there have they've talked about the warm, fluffy feelings of stuff, and they've talked about being spiritual and making things look pretty and all of this, and there's nothing wrong with doing that at all. But it's gone to an extreme now where they've got all of these pretty looking websites and they're not making any money. And it's gone to the extreme now where you've got people out in California doing meditation and yoga and eating all this healthy food and everything and being really relaxed until they need some money to pay their rent, and then they're totally not relaxed. And you see, this is how it happens. If you choose a side and think the other's wrong, well, you're going to have to face the one that you think is wrong. And the only way to really be wrong is to choose a side. And this is the paradox that binary introduces to us. If we choose a side, then we make the other side, appear. So the real way to do it is to become non-binary and balance the poles. And so whatever way your poles are really, stacked right now, whatever way your scales are stacked, the real way to evolve and to achieve whatever you want is to remove the binary stackings of all of those things, the hard jammed on and off and me and not me and this is right and this is wrong. You need to remove those jams on everything. And this is the new alchemy paradigm and worldview. And here's a pin-up which is available for download below this video, and this one is called the To Be or Not To Be pin-up. And it says here, to be or not to be, that is the question. And the key to all evolution is variation. And when you start to grow tired of what is in the light, you must face what is in the dark. And we must understand that the dualism that exists in our own mind, and lose the binary stance of one true right and one wrong, and one true me and not me. And Shakespeare said, Shakespeare's famous quote is, to be or not to be. That is the question. And I guess he never really figured out that nothing is static, and everything in this universe is forever moving, changing, and becoming. The real question is, who am I becoming? That is the question. And so that's a quote from me. You want to print this out and pin it up if this is something you want to remind yourself of, because when we get stuck in the binaries of to be or not to be, and we are someone, then we are not to be the other, it's because we've got stuck on these two things. And we've got stuck here as a society, as people, as everything. And I've been quietly sitting back and watching this stuff happen for quite a long time, waiting for the perfect moment to move on it. And I watched these paradoxes flip all very recently, and this is why I'm coming out and introducing this new paradigm and new worldview, because the current way of thinking is wrong, and we've gotten ourselves into quite a lot of trouble with it. And so we've got some action items for this video here. So these ones are really awesome, and you're going to thoroughly enjoy completing these ones. This is fun stuff to do. I think this sort of stuff is more fun to do than really anything, because you're discovering who you are, like, as your identity, and you're discovering that you can pretty much do anything you want. And
we might have to do these actionable steps.
Well, it should be for anyone. And so here they are. The first one is to discover your identity and who you are. And we do this thing called the Myers-Briggs test, and you go to this URL to find the Myers-Briggs test.
For some reason, like, all the documents attached into this course. It's just not working. And I think because this course is not a full course, it was just included for purchase to get all the people ready for the upcoming Make Money Online challenge. Now that is a $10,000 website, literally. That's a pretty good website. I ain't gonna lie, man. Damn. That's pretty fresh. www.consulting.com/mbti Okay. So none of the worksheet works. Maya Bridges personality test. Let's just look that up. Maya Bridges personality test. Maya Bridges. Fuck, do I really want to do this, guys? Because I feel like the one they have would be customized for this. That's really annoying though. Like surely, like if you're gonna like at least get a section of the paid course on here, then at least make the links work. You know what I mean? Like it's like serving chips without, serving fries without tomato sauce. Like, yes, the tomato sauce may be extra, but like if you put it in, then you're gonna be sure to get returning customers. Okay, let's do this. You regularly make new friends. Is that a joke? Is that literally a joke, guys? Like, what even is a friend? Like, at this point, guys, like, what even is a friend? Like, you go to work, or I go to work, you talk to people, but then now these days, there's like, what, acquaintances? Like, back then, what I know to be a friend in school is if you talked, right? And obviously, if you asked, do you want to be my friend? But I feel like, being like 20 now, like if you ask, you want to be my friend, it's kind of like, bro, you all right? So I think as a friend, you should know something about someone, like one of their secrets, because that's what friends do, right? Complex and novel ideas excites you more than simple and straightforward ones. It really depends, guys. Sometimes I'll be like, for philosophical, I can't talk. For solo, you know what I mean? Like, try to act like a philosopher. And then sometimes I just want like a straight answer. It really depends on the situation. Like, it really depends. But when it all boils down to is I like to be a little bit complex, I gotta say, because, sometimes complexity is key. Because life isn't really a straightforward answer. You usually feel more persuaded by what resonates emotionally with you than factual arguments. That's false. Facts always wins, for me at least. I'm not really an emotional person, as you guys can tell. Oh yes, that has changed over the time, but yes. Yes. Before I started YouTube, heck yes, but now it's like I don't care putting myself out there. But if you want me to like approach a girl, to be honest, guys, maybe I would. Like maybe I would, but like it's just not. Like I say, it's not on my priorities. But I think like if if it really was, like if I want to like be a player, like if that was my whole goal in life, then I think I'll get over the fear. But at the moment, I'll say average because I'm still like I'm confident in some areas, but I'm not confident in other areas, and I think that's just literally all inexperience. Fuck, 10 steps. We might be here for like 30 minutes. I better just go through this. You prioritize and plan tasks effectively, often completing them well before the deadline. Are we going off our past or what is happening now? Because now I am literally agree, but like before, like, I'm not saying average. Ooh, Nah, I always have trouble like doing that actually, because I'll think too much. After reading all these self improvement books, and what you should and should not say, like, and just understanding the fact that people are not interested in you unless you're interested in others, that just literally made me just be more reserved, like instantly. Yeah, I'll say I'm not really interested in that. Yeah. Yeah, I'll say so. Actually, I know when I'm gonna self sabotage. Oh wait, you have to know that then. Not really. Oh, I definitely do. As you guys can see, I am literally a solopreneur, so no. Not at the moment, at least. I don't know. I feel like that's just laziness. Nah, I'm a fucking honest guy, guys. Not really. Like, is this like? Should I be just picking the right answers to rewire my mind, or would picking the wrong answers just make me more inefficient and depressed? Like that's the thing with these tests, like because then you're thinking about like, hold on, am I doing this and ticking up all these like negative answers, making me more like a bad person? Like that's what you think, kind of, going through the back of your head sometimes. That things will turn out for the worse. No, no, no. I don't think like that. You enjoy solitary hobbies and my mouse is glitching. Yeah, I guess. I mean, not really. Actually, I'm just lonely as fuck. I don't have the option at the moment to enjoy social activities. Writing fictional stories for a living. Fictional. What is fictional? Like, is that truth or false? I think that's true, right? Fictional. True or false? Oh, not real. Yeah, I can't imagine myself doing that. Yeah, hell yeah. What are chores? In disagreements, you prioritize proving your point over preserving the feelings of others. To my family, yes, and I think you're more honest. Like you're the most honest person. You're more yourself when you're around people you trust. And a lot of the times when my mom wants to lose weight and she's not losing it, and I know for a fact it's because of these certain things she's not following, I would push my point even though she emotionally is not there. So yes. Yes. Depends on action. Depends on action, really. So I'm gonna say all right. You are not easily swayed by emotional arguments. Yeah, I mean, that depends, guys. Swayed by emotional arguments. You're not easily swayed by emotional arguments. You're not easily swayed yeah, yeah. I'll say so. I don't know why it took so long to think of an answer. Doing things at the last possible moment. See, not really, because I never have a deadline. Ever since school finished and starting this entrepreneur journey, I never really took life seriously until recently. So I never had a deadline to catch up, or so never had a thing to finish last moment. Nah, no, I don't give a fuck about that. Yeah, I don't want to be lonely. Not really. True, true. Yeah, sometimes you really second guess the choices that you have made. I would say so, yeah. Your friends will describe you as lively and outgoing. Nah. Yeah, 7 out of 10, guys. We're almost there. You're drawn to various form of creative expressions such as writing. Sometimes, when I was locked up, that's literally all we could do, really. So, and now I stopped really journaling. But I still do agree because I'll get back into it for sure. Yeah, I'm really a factual person. Yeah, definitely. Again, it depends on the context. It really depends on the context, but really, I think so. Oh no. In the middle, yeah. I disagree. If I need to, I will. But obviously, I gave up on my cold calling journey, so that may be contradicting. So I'll put it in the middle for now. I don't know how I feel about that. Depends on the person. It really depends on the person. Oh, 100%. Yeah, still bothered by mistakes. I learned to let go a lot now, so I'm gonna disagree on that one. Because the fact that if you stay with your mistakes and you hold on to them for so long, you literally can't live in the present. You literally cannot live in the present, guys. Like if I'm still thinking about like who has dummy run for a 50 bag or like who dummy run for like an ounce back then, I'll still be thinking about ways how I can get those people back. But you just have to let the shit go. It's not a big deal. It's literally not a big deal. Maybe in that context, in the reputation context, yes, it's a big deal. If someone done you over, you need to get them back, blah blah blah. But really, if you're out, you're out. You don't need to worry about that shit anymore. And some people just take that shit to pride. They take that shit to the grave. Too honestly, it's just not worth it. Yeah, I don't care too much. In the middle. In the middle. Not really. Ooh, this one I have to say in the middle because before I started working, I was tired as shit, but I know I have to get shit done. So, yeah, definitely. But before, I would say agree. And that's the thing, sometimes you don't know if you're supposed to measure this based on like what you are right now or what you were before you locked in. That's the thing. And I think no. I don't know, guys. That's the only question I have to ask. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you. No, I never have that kind of feeling. Oh, I disagree. Freaking hate my work at the moment. I need to be around people for sure. Nah, I don't think it is. I mean, I'm a philosophical person at heart, sometimes. No. Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. No, not really. Methodically without skipping. No. Middle. Concrete steps will be easier, for the mind. No, definitely not. Yes, you know what? Based on before, yeah, I'll say so. I'll say so. Before, I definitely had problems with deadlines. Yeah, 100%. Even if that's the ego thing, whatever. Like before I show you guys, I already know, literally, what my personality trait will be. Perhaps like a introvert slash, what's the other one? Analytical. Introvert slash analytical. Is that a melancholy or is that another one? I know there's pragmatic, right? Melancholy and something else. But I definitely know I'll be an introvert and an analytical person. Logistical. In LSTJ, logistical, you are the backbone of society. Embodying reliability, practicality, and unwavering dedication. Your meticulous nature and strong sense of duty make you an indispensable force in both personal and professional sphere. Oh, that's definitely a boost to my ego. You approach life with a clear set of principles, valuing traditional structure and well-defined expectations. Your strength lies in your ability to create order from chaos, methodically organizing information and resources to achieve tangible results. You excel at maintaining a system and following through on commitments, often becoming the person others turn to when they need someone done right. However, your preference for established methods can sometimes make you resistant to change. Very true, even when adaptation might be beneficial. Yeah, 62% introvert, right? 62 observant, 75 thinker. I'll probably, it's getting better. Definitely. Your weaknesses, resistance to change, that's true. Avoiding teamwork, 100%. Definitely needs to get better. Dismissive of theories, not really, I wouldn't say. Difficulty delegating tasks, 100%. Rigid rule follower, reluctant to self-promote. Yeah, I mean, look, the weak points I'm definitely working on, that's for sure. Even though I say I am,
And it's
it's definitely getting worked on.
consulting.com/MBTI. The link's on the screen and you can type that in.
Well, how long are we
I'll show you
into
really
the
quickly
stream
right now.
now?
You go to
1 hour.
consulting.com.
Not ideal, but who cares? We got the whole night to finish
And it looks like
a few things on
this.
my app, so it should be calm.
Very simple page here. And, this thing is really, really simple. And it's free to do. All you do is you go through and you just
Our
choose
test
one of
was
these
not
feature
this simple, guys. We
And
had to do like.
The only way you can mess this up
But
is
also,
if you just
this
open
web
it.
browser looks
There
so
is
super,
no
super,
right
super
and wrong
old.
answer to this test. That's the big thing. You're not doing an IQ test, and no one's going to say you're smart or you're stupid or anything like that. Like, there is no right and wrong answer to this test. So, remove any belief you've got about it, and just do the test and answer the questions honestly
Yeah,
and with the first thing that
2017.
really comes to mind
Wow.
for each one. And then take note of the result which you get. It'll be a 4-letter word, and you just want to write that down.
So this person was making 40 million in 2021. That means he'll be he'll be 9 figures, probably more, to be
And
honest.
so do this test and do it honestly. And that's the first one. And so what I want you to do right now is pause this video and do this action item. You want to complete the binary polls worksheet. It's available for download below this
Again,
video.
unavailable,
Complete
so we
it.
can't do that.
Right. I try to do this one looking at your answers or anything, so the only person you're going to fool is you. So
You know,
really,
we can probably do it if he
really
shows
honestly
us
write
all the.
things to their favourite thing. Tight with money and loose with
He
money.
does, he does. Alright, so
And then is, no one's gonna
who are 3 people you idolize, look up to, or admire? Whew, this is gonna reveal a lot about me, guys. That's a hard one. You know, I really admire. Wow. I actually do not know who I admire. You know, honestly, I would say E-Man used to be my idol, and he still is. And I guess I do look up to him. Because of the amount of value he added to my life, and most importantly, because of he was the first person that managed to convince me to go on this online entrepreneur route. You know, otherwise I'll be still slaying drugs. So that's something I always kept to heart. But anyone apart from him, not really, guys. Because not really. I'm never into that social media type crap. So let's just skip on the next one, right? What traits, characteristics, or things do you like about these 3 people? I probably can't even answer any of these questions then. The fact that he I don't know, guys. It's just like the way he was the way he talks and the way he persuaded me at that time is really hard to pinpoint exactly what traits and characteristics he did have. Maybe like a track record, you know, maybe like just pure honesty, you know, to see that he was actually nobody before he started it. I think that just gave me hope, most importantly, and to see his progression, that gave me hope. And I think anything else, the way he talks, so his tonality is very soft-spoken. I guess that's something else. But who are the 3 people you despise, dislike, and think they are wrong? There's a lot, you know. My friends, some strangers, you know. I don't know too many people personally, but anyone that goes against me, you know. What traits, characteristics, or things do you not like about these 3 people? Oh, just the fact that they... It's just like... It's hard to say, guys. It's hard to say because it's making me think. It's making me think about what I don't like about these people. And to be honest, I can't think of anything, guys. I literally can't. What I don't like about them, you know, they just don't believe the things you believe. Really like how they think there's only one way, like judgmental, I guess. And just disbelief in themselves. I think that's what I don't like about people. Just not believing in themselves. What things do you love doing and could happily do every single day? I could eat, right? I could work out. Oh man, I could meditate. I could sleep, and I could do something that I believe in, building something that I believe in.
You'll be looking at your answers or anything. So the
This is really like a pretty rough reflection, if you not say for myself.
only
It's
person you're
pretty
gonna
a pretty
fool
rough
is you.
reflection
So
on my end.
make sure you write them down. Be honest with it. And then
And
what
that's the thing, guys. Like any reflection you do, like that's very, very like rough. Like meaning like it really makes you think. It creates vulnerability, and to me, there are a lot of things I'm vulnerable about. Like actually understanding why I don't like people. Actually trying to figure out who I idolize, which is literally, not even my parents sometimes, and that's quite sad for some people. But that really also shows a lot about me, how selfish and careless I am as a person. And I guess really like when all you do is think about yourself, then it's gonna be hard to think about what you don't like about these people. It's gonna be hard trying to understand the traits and characteristics of other people when you literally just don't care.
traits, characteristics, or things do you not like about these three people? What things do they do that really piss you off and get you all agitated? Now, what things do you love doing and could happily do every day? Like, what are your favorite things to do that you'd just be having the time of your life if you were just doing them all day? Write them down. And what things do you hate doing? Totally detest. And never want to do ever in your entire life? Write those down. Things which totally suck. Write them down. And question 7. Now you want to circle the one which best describes you for all of the following. So we've got logic and intuition, tight with money and loose with money, masculine and feminine, so on and so forth. You want to go through these and you got to just circle one, whatever one you think best suits you. And take the time.
And I think what really like makes reflection easier for me is when they give you like words to use. For me, sometimes I don't know what I feel because I literally can't find the word at the moment. Like if I was doing this, it's easier because I can pick, you know what I mean? So logic, tight with money for sure. If you were to pick, man, like honestly, sometimes I do feel a bit feminine, but sometimes I do feel masculine. Always been a mummy boy, always been a mummy's boy. So I definitely had trouble making guy friends, that's for sure. But then again, because I was so scared of my own self-image, I never managed to make any girlfriends. So yeah, it's been horrible for me. Anyways, discipline or undisciplined. Then again, I'm disciplined in the gym, but then I'm undisciplined at working on my own business. But then again, like because I'm disciplined in the gym because I know it works. Like I know it works because I made it work. And at the moment, undisciplined is only a manifestation of this idea or belief in my head because I haven't seen anything root from my efforts. So overall, I'll say discipline if I know it works. Sensible 100%, organized 100%, shy 100%, logical and precise 100%, acidity 100%, serious 100%, healthy 100%, early riser 100%, science at this moment, meditation and cigars. Honestly, if you want to pick, money for sure. Giving to others, selfish to myself, think about what the past, think about the future. Greed, I'm a greedy guy, guys. Quiet, sometimes bold and well presented, understated.
Do that for each one. And then question 8,
It
what is
depends
your
on the
dream?
situation, guys.
So, what do you really want to achieve in life? And how do you want to live? Like, take a moment to really think about what you really want. Like, what would be everything you had ever wanted? Like, where would you want to live? What would you want to do? How much money would you have in your bank account? What car would you have? Like, just dream. Like, what would you want? Like, what is your?
I literally already know what I want. Like, I literally wake up every single day with this
Now,
idea of my
do you
ideal life.
see
You know,
how your current
it's
binary
crazy. I literally
poles are in
walk to the
direct
gym and back
conflict
just
with the
daydreaming.
dream you
So
have
I'm
for
gonna
yourself?
not do this at this stage, guys.
Do you see the things that you dislike other people for and judge them by are the exact things you need yourself to achieve your dreams? It's funny how this happens. Because what happens is whatever like result current, this happens every single time. You need to achieve your dream on achieve that impersonating, and it's impossible. And so what you'll think was about for his when the who think that anyone over the
I'm gonna skip this because I don't want to,
think that
you know,
guy's
do this
everything,
literally
and
today.
them
Like the amount of mission statements I have done, like maybe only like few, but like still, a mission statement is pointless if you don't act at the end of the day. Like it's simple as that. Yes, you can understand yourself. Yes, but once you understand yourself, like you should just act already. You know what I mean? So
they believe that
like-
people like me can't ignore, and they both have things that know some alone quiet time. So in Myers-Briggs, I love it because it's and yes, that means you really love structure and random. And if you're extroverted, you're probably going to need to get a bit more introverted. And if you're really emotional, you're going to need to use more logic.
Okay, so it's basically saying that we have to spend more time in the opposite to find balance. I understand that. I understand that. Yeah, I understand that.
A lot of females, a lot of women, they are far too intuitive, and then they end up
Yep,
like
that's
not
true.
having any money and being all stressed out and
true.
worried and everything. And there's nothing wrong with intuition and being really intuitive, except when you only use intuition and never logic. And so that's how you can get yourself into trouble. And so I know a lot of women, they need to start using some more logic. They don't need to completely forget intuition, because there's a lot of men, and this was me too, I went way too far on the logic. I thought everything had to have logic and reason and rationale, and I was a logical, like mastermind. I could do everything in logic, but logic can only get you so far. Logic is far from perfect. Logic without logic can take you so far, but then you need intuition to make the final call on it. And so this is what it is. Like if you're an F, then you probably need a bit of T. If you're a T, you probably need a bit of F. And if you are a P, then you probably need a bit of J. And if you're a J, you probably need a bit of P. And so this is how it works. And what I'm telling you here is not what other people tell you about Myers-Briggs. So don't be surprised if everywhere else on the internet and every other person on the internet says that something totally different, because the world's gotten confused, right? Everyone else is saying that's who you are, and it's okay. This is who you are. Forget about it all. Like, just make the most of your strengths and everything, and forget about it. But seriously, we aren't anybody. We are only becoming someone, and so this is just how we're currently programmed right now. And so you can forget about what everyone else says about this test in the entire world, because I'm telling you this is actually how it how it was all created and everything. And I had to go back to Carl Jung way back through history, and really study the man and understand everything to actually understand how this was created in the first place. And our current perception in society of how this test works and everything is wrong. It's, imagine Carl Jung way back in history playing Chinese whispers throughout, however many years. I'm sure you've played Chinese whispers before. Like, the message gets distorted. Over like 50 to 100 years or something, information gets distorted. And so, this is really the way the Myers-Briggs test is supposed to be done, and it's supposed to work and everything. And so, you want to identify your opposites, and then you will be, you want to try to introduce more of your opposites into your life and business, and be aware that problems will exist due to these things being too binary and jammed on one side. So there's nothing wrong with being an introvert, only when you are too nervous to speak that you're unhappy because you can't speak.
That's true.
And there's nothing wrong with being an
100% true,
extrovert
guys.
until all you do is speak, and you don't seem to really ever think about why you're always speaking all the time, right? And so that's my point here. It's, there needs to be a balance between these different things, and a problem in your life. And when you become paralyzed in any area of your life, it's typically when one of these is overdeveloped and become a really jammed binary pole or position on something. And so that's how this is supposed to work. And so what I want you to do is complete those 2 action items and anything else. If you've been a like religious breakfast person and eaten breakfast every day for the last 10 years, try skipping it. We come to believe that there's this one best way to live, and there isn't. The only wrong way to do anything is to just believe that it is right and not change. Because a lack of variation in evolution causes all issues. A lack of variation in evolution causes inbred species, it causes diseases, it causes everything wrong. The key to evolution is variation. And so, when I really figured all of this stuff out, I decided, man, this is fun, because I started to eat dessert before dinner. I'm not even joking you. Don't even think oh, Sam's just telling us something extreme, like to make us laugh or something. I'm not kidding. I would eat dessert first and then eat dinner, because who said that it couldn't go the other way around? And sometimes I'd eat dessert for lunch. I'd eat like a cookie and just a whole bunch of ice cream on top of it for lunch. I was just like, well, screw it, why not? And then I decided to start working at night and sleeping during the day. For a good 6 months, and you can ask anyone in my mastermind about this, I would wake up at about 3 p.m. in the day and then be working all through the night. And I just, because I was like, well, I'm going to try it out. Why not? Like, there's no one's saying, it's not really, no one can really say that's the wrong thing to do. I mean, I'm just going to try it out and see what it's like. And through doing these different things, you're able to evolve yourself. You're able to show yourself that, you're not hard-wired and hard-jammed on one particular thing. Like, I used to be an introvert and I was paralyzed because I couldn't do anything outgoing. I had to learn how to do stuff that was outgoing. And, I used to be hard-jammed on logic. I had to develop some intuition. And, you need to do these things. You need to start evolving yourself. Just like, eating dessert before dinner. That's a fun one to do. You really should do it. And, even for a while, for about a month, I decided to become a vegetarian, because I figured, I've never really tried that. So I decided I want to try it out. But I also didn't want to become a vegetarian only because, the only way you can really get any of this stuff wrong is if you get hard jammed on one side. And, I also do, meditation, and I take, myself and my wellness and everything very seriously, but I also take making money very seriously. When I only cared about money, I ended up, in a bad place. And if you only care about wellness, then you end up being in a bad place. And so you need to have a balance of these two things. And so a lot of all the time is that you need money to introduce this new paradigm and this new training.
All right, that was a very long video, mainly because I was talking my whole for the most times. But yeah, it's true. It's true. We have to go outside our comfort zone. If you're an introvert, be an extrovert. We have to go outside our comfort zone. But that's, nobody wants to do that because it's scary. It's hard. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it scares the shit out of me sometimes. But after doing it a bit, it's all right. And I think a lot of the times when the reason why we think it's scary and all is because of what had happened to us before. Whatever has happened to you before that caused a bad experience, you think it's going to happen again. And sometimes it does. Sometimes if you got rejected by this, girl at high school, whatever, you feel like you're not deserving to have a beautiful girl. And next time when you ask her out again, you may still get rejected because you're still unconfident, because you still think that you don't deserve her. But over time, that starts to vanish because you realize, well, now I can freely talk to girls without being scared, which in a way makes you more confident because you no longer have this, trembling voice and, squeaky voice when you talk. In a way, that makes you sound more attractive, But that's the thing, you just have to be conscious of the fact to be present and not let your past define that present interaction. And that's something I have to work on, guys. Like all of us, that's something I have to work on. But 1.5 hours in, I felt like I've done absolutely nothing. But, that's only because I think like that. But really, I think I learned something from that video. But now, let's get into the most exciting part, is to really, really, finish, connect my back end and front end together. I'm excited, guys, because this is gonna be the thing that's gonna make my first dollar. And it's gonna be amazing. But first, I'm gonna fill up on some water, and yeah, I'll be right back, guys. Be right back. All right. We are back. All right, let's. All right. So it's gonna be. Careful. So I think the first step, or I could have been more in a way specific for the AI to pinpoint on a specific, for say, tab, but I'm pretty much letting it delete all the hard code information, which is nothing that's going to be usable across the whole entire app, which I'm a bit nervous about, knowing that that's actually a lot of things to do, but also at the same time, it's super easy. It's just like deleting like English, right? Let's delete these files first. So that's deleted. And I'm gonna use my glasses, guys, because contacts are just not it. Just not it, guys. It makes my head dizzy and shit. Especially when looking at these tiny little codes. Just not it. Nice. Feels so weird to wear glasses now. Anyways, getting off topic. separating. I should probably load up my app just so I can see the changes after each iteration. I think that'll be more smart, wouldn't it? So you can finish. Ness. Ness. That's more maintainable. Hmm. Ooh. I should have done organization last. I got carried away. We should actually just be implementing the back end and front end together. And I'm not sure if organizing this, making extra more files will make the AI harder to actually read all the files. That was something I actually did not pay too much attention to, which is not good, guys. header. I don't know why he's separating that. The header should be, the same. Routes to be placed. To be placed on the is that it? Let me check. Let me check just to make sure. Yeah, so it's separated routes. Yes, guys, I have this habit also of just checking myself out, looking at how fat and miserable I am sometimes. But that's life, all about a distraction. So right now I'm really just reorganizing the file structure, which once again should be the last part because now nesting all these different files into different little sub dictionaries, it may make it harder for the AI to configure the backend and the front end later on. Like I feel like once you config and make everything working, then you can do the organization, right? But now it's like you have to go into like these very deeply nested files and folders to find exactly what it needs before you can make the change. I don't know anything about SQL. Like, is this even necessary now since we have Firebase already configured? Not too sure. And these are just all like pointless. Node modules should really be at top. This is a mess, like a hot pile of potato mess. Like that, like there's a router in types. Tabs. We have literally 2 null modules. I'll be very surprised if this app even is working. Huh. I'm surprised. I thought it literally would crash. It's definitely working, but obviously a lot of bugs. a lot of bugs. No task whatsoever. And task creation is just a hot mess. Yeah, a lot of math problems and bugs. Okay, so I think they're ready for deletion, but we'll just check. so that I was thinking of like, because normally when I created my React Native web app, the routes is where the pages were nested. So for example, here we have routes, right? And then we will have our authentication. We will have, your checkout page, your home page, and they are different pages. And they will live under the source section because they are pretty much like the first thing you see, right? So that's exactly what I wanted to do with the layout tabs. But then again, this is an Expo app, which I don't think it makes that much different. It's just like a template, which again, we can change. But if this is the app dictionary, which means this is pretty much the source dictionary, then because these two are different, right? It's saying that this is the route, like this is the route. So I made a routes tab for no reason. So what it did before was to nest, because these are pretty much what he did here is he made components for the tabs, and I told him to name it routes because what I intended it to be is this is my navigation for each different page or each different tab. But what he's trying to do, or AI is trying to just keep the same tab folders and break these long ass code into components and use those components from this file to just, make this shorter, right? And if that's the case, then yes, what he did before was right, which was to, nest these route components into the component file itself under a folder called tabs components or something like that. But then again, I need to look at what is best practice, but at the moment, who gives a shit about best practice? Right? Let's just get this done. Let's just make it readable. Meaning that when I want to go back and edit or find bugs or add functionalities to connect the front end and the back end, at least I'll know where to look much quicker, and just instead of going through like 3 files where it has thousands and thousands of lines of code, and now it's gonna get messy real quick. Index. See, all it does is create post button, which in routes, which is where we started, if we go to if we go to somewhere, home, there we go, create post button, maybe is in postcard. This was probably that's interesting. Where I'm not sure if this is exactly this documentation. Create post. Is there any imports? This seems very small to be taking it up or to remove all that code. Create post module. It's getting it from the components, I'm guessing. Yeah, he's getting from. Now that's messy. It really shouldn't do that. Because then I'm getting like, yeah. Then there's literally no point to have this, because I can just put it all in components if that's the case. Like the whole idea of having a route is to have your own. I mean, that's a bit contradictory, to be honest. You know what? Screw it. Screw all of this. Let's just let it do its work. I'll It's definitely going down a lot more. folder. This is definitely not the most fun thing to do at this moment, just because you're literally just organizing shit. It's like, you know, going over your notes and making them all pretty and organized. Like, at the end of the day, does it make your notes better? No, right? All it does really is when you look back at your notes, you know where to look. So you're not spending times, looking at your book and trying to find this one specific thing or just to make sense of everything. Like at the end of the day, guys, your architecture and structure makes it does make a difference, right? Don't get me wrong. Like over time, like if your codes are very heavy and a lot of data nested, then yes, it does matter with where you place your things, as it's gonna go to different files and call different functions and stuff. But at the end of the day, that's something you should worry about as you build your app. It's not something you should worry about at the end, because at the end, like this, it's just a lot to figure out. That's for sure. Not sure if this is if it broke on me or something like that. I think you did. There we go. I'm doing great, Evelyn. E- don't hate me if I said your name wrong because I can't kind of pronounce it properly, but I'm doing great. Another day trying to complete what I have been putting off for such a long time, and it's gonna get done today. It's gonna not done, but like is I'm definitely on track. That's good. You gotta be on track. Like sometimes, just take life seriously. But this waiting is definitely pretty annoying. Not gonna lie. Like to be honest, I could just click and drag, and I'll just click and drag. There's literally no need to let AI do this for me. So home is moved, right? So home is empty. All I have to do is just drag this into leaderboards. It's literally all I have to do. Can't be easier. Boom. Look at that. Yes. Drag to leaderboards. Look at that. Boom. Yes. Ready, 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 ready. Boom. Drag to leaderboards. And now leaderboard's empty. Ready? You guys ready for more? Hold on. More. Drag to leaderboards. Drag to more. Drop. Move. Yes. Sometimes, like this is what I mean, guys. Like I should have got the back end and the front end. Like I should have got my app working before I started this organization. Because now I am telling you, because I am so hyper specific with where everything is going, like creating all these files and folders. Now, what I probably have to do when writing and when connecting my app together, pretty much, is I have to be hyper specific of where I want the AI to target certain components, right? I have to say like, oh, go to, tabs, this file, blah, 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 and then, make this functionality for this file only. But then because I am only selecting this file, then it's going to ignore the rest of my app, like the rest of these other components that may very well be impacted with that function in that, obviously, section of my app. Where before, like when there's only 5 files for each screen, it could read the whole file, understand, okay, so this is what you're doing. Now let me make these functionalities that incorporates and make sure it supports all of it, instead of just targeting one section where it totally forgets that, oh, hold on, you want to like the post when also you want to make sure that like will affect the user's liking as or something like that, or doing this task, earning this set amount of points was going to affect your statistics, but because you have made the separation and you forgot to mention it by being specific, now adding the points won't add to your overall statistics, something like that. Maybe I'm just, talking out of my hole again, but that's what I think. Because just letting it, reorganizing the files is crashing on me. When literally all I can do is this: watch, drag, and drop, just like that. and it crashes. So yeah, it's something you just have to be aware of, you know. I mean, maybe not for you because, you know, you're watching me do it, but it's something I have to be aware of. It's like so hot in this room too. It's like my PC will burn or something. Ooh, 35 degrees on the CPU. That's all-time high. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, I mean, I did have this PC running for the whole day. Actually, pretty much. By the way, guys, I am 4 weeks into my carnivore diet, I think. On track to 81.3 this week, by the end of this week, I'm pretty sure. And I might have to revert, you know, I might just have to cut it short. Well, not cut it short. I'm pretty much have been in an intense calorie deficit for like 5 weeks now, in the end of this week, which is more than I had liked. But because I slipped on my diet, I decided to just, you know what, go 4 more weeks extra on carnivore. Never tried it. Was feeling pretty shit in the start, but now I'm getting used to it. But today when I came back home, I literally just ate all my calories, and I did that at 12 o'clock, and it's just now I'm fasting till morning, which is not good. I went ahead and moved all my files from my routes folder to my tabs. Please check if nothing in my app is using the routes folder. If so, then delete unused route folder. You know what? Why am I even bothering? I'll just do it by hand. I'll literally do it by hand. It's just not worth it sometimes, guys. What's the rename shortcut? F2. Alright. Control Fin 2, is it? Control Fin 1? No. Yeah. Always follow camel case, in my case at least. That means it always starts with a lowercase and the next string will be starting with a capital for separation. That's all, or there's more? There's more. Damn, how much is in my tabs? after this, guys, I'm gonna learn some Ukrainian. Literally, it's not really important, to be honest, renaming everything. Like, it's something you don't really think about, because you do this as you go when you create your when you start coding your project. You kind of do it along the way, right? But obviously, I didn't code this by myself, so this is the least I can do, right? For now, at least. Also, guys, I was meal prepping before, and I made this crispy pork leg roast, right? And it's supposed to be for the whole weeks. Honestly, I have these intuitive thoughts right now to just go downstairs and eat the whole thing. Sometimes it be like that, and I think we're done. Yeah. There's a problem obviously at leaderboards. Oh wait, no, all the way down. Looks like we ran into an error which could just be anything really. Refresh. Yeah, home header dot components. They seem right. This is what I mean, guys. Heavily nested components is going to lead to these errors, which then I have to manually go through if I can't prompt specifically enough. What did I do? I don't know, guys. Yeah, it shouldn't have this page. It should just show me the app right away, like my application right away. I never got this error before, but I'm guessing something's happening in the route that's causing it to not load the whole entire thing. Because the routes work, like the routes itself work, but that's just not working. Like this works. Mm. So it needs a default route. It has to be index. What is this? No, 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 I want bash. You silly boy. Shouldn't matter though. It really shouldn't matter. Yep, still like this. Because it's only a name. That's the thing, it's only a name. Right now, my code editor is just crashing. So they can't be within tabs. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just. You know what? This is gonna nah. You know what? I'm gonna delete all this shit first. We'll solve this problem next time, guys. I'm gonna watch some videos and figure this shit out. But we'll solve it next time.